Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Jaya Radha, Jaya Radha, Jaya Radha, Jaya Sri Radha. Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva, Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Ba, Hare Ba. Jaya Vishnu Paramahamsa, Parivrajacharya, Astoto Tattva Simad, Divine Grace, His Compoundacharya, Srila Abhacharya Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Jaya Vishnu Paramahamsa, Parivrajacharya, Astoto Tattva Simad, Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Si Kahao Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Si Advaita Gatarara Si Vasari Si Gaura Bhakta Vinda Ki Jai. Si Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Syama Kunda Radha Kundagiri Gopadhan Ki Jai. Subindavan Dham Ki Jai. Si Mayapur Navadvim Dham Ki Jai. Jaganapuri Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Simata Tulsi Devi Bhakta Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the summer devotees, all glories to the summer devotees, all glories to the summer devotees, All glories to Sisi Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chanda Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chanda Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chanda Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So welcome everyone to this morning talks on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namani. Namaste Saraswati Deva Gaura Vani Pacharine Nevise Sasunyavadi Pasatyadi Satarine. Namo Mahavadana Ya Krishna Prema Padayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Guratize Namaha. Vanchakalpataribhyacha Kripasundabhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, our Lord Chaitanya is the very inaugurator of the Sankirtan movement. And he appeared about 500 years ago, right here at the Yoga Pit. I've not been to the Yoga Pit. Raise up your hand. What? So, we were there the first day of the parikram, and under the neem tree there is where Nimai was born. It's also called Nimai because he was born under a neem tree. So, when the Lord has to come, he doesn't just fall from the sky. He comes through a family. He comes through a family. A woman takes care of him. You see the importance of women? A woman takes care of him, whether he comes as Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, whatever incarnation he comes. He comes through a family to be nurtured, to be treated, to be loved like an ordinary human being. So Lord Chaitanya's case was also like that. I remember Lord Krishna mentions in the Gita that whenever there is a decline in religion and there's some type of disparities, he makes himself manifest to be able to rectify the situations. So, at the time that Lord Chaitanya appeared, one may ask, what was the religious disparity that was predominant at that time? Yeah, that was the time when Navadvip was under the rule of Turkish Muslims. And
just like the Kazi tried to do a number of things to be able to stop even the Sankirtan movement. So even before Lord Chaitanya was manifested himself on this planet in Navadvip, there were a lot of things that were going on which like facilitated the suppression of the practice of the Bhakti tradition. And that is not surprising, because if the ruler is not a Vaishnav or a Hindu, you should not expect any encouragement from him. So before Lord Chaitanya was born, his grandfather, his maternal grandfather means the father of his mother. His maternal grandfather, Nilambal Chakravarti, had predicted, he was a great astrologer. He had predicted that his daughter, Sachi Mata, will have the privilege to have a child who is Lord Krishna himself, but in the guise of a devotee. And he describes everything that will transpire when this child is born. His mission, the objective criteria of the Lord's advent. Nilamal Chakravarti delineated everything. He gave prediction about all that was going to transpire, all that Lord Chaitanya was going to be able to accomplish. So, when Lord Chaitanya appeared, even he has to do, Nilambal Chakravarti has to do the name-giving ceremony. He conducted the name-giving ceremony. And Nilambal Chakravarti is no other person than Gargacharya in Krishna's pastime. See, when Lord Chaitanya was going to come, he came with, he had sent all of his entourage. It's like, even if the governor of Bengal is going to somewhere, he'll go with his entourage. He'll go with his entourage. Not to speak of the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, the president of the three worlds. So, Gargacharya came as Nilambal Chakravarti. So he conducted the name-giving ceremony, and when the child was born, he had also examined the child and had seen all of his physical features, and based on that, he gave interpretations. For instance, his hands were very long, beyond his knees. And so it is extraordinary people who have those type of physical features. So Nilambal Chakravarti helped to give, basic, in-depth information about Lord Chaitanya's activities and why he had really come to perform those activities. So, before the appearance of the Lord, Advaita Acharya and other devotees, we are very much, praying for some transformation. We're talking about what was transpiring at that time, and when the devotees, even the devotees who were available at that time, they were not freely allowed or freely encouraged to perform their bhajans. So Advaita Acharya saw the horrible situation, how things were turning topsy-turvy regarding the Bhakti cult or the Bhakti tradition, how the Bhakti tradition has been minimized, and even those who who were supposedly practicing, they portray the Bhakti tradition to be something like sentimentality, and the elites had no interest in it because, people, they will read from the books and they see the followers do something else. So it was a hard time, and Advaita Acharya petitioned the Lord to come. Shifting very quickly backward, one time Narada Muni was traveling. He went to Dwarka in the spiritual world. He went to visit. This is documented. I like to make a reference because if someone may not ask openly, but I used to do that when I was younger. I used to ask, where can I get this information? And people don't used to like that. People who give classes, they don't used to like that. I remember in New Jersey, when I was the brahmachari in New Jersey, I asked questions like that a lot. You tell me, you say, you mention about the story in the class, I will ask, where can I find this story? Which books? And people people don't like it. But I come from a scholarly background. And, when you say something, someone may want to repeat that somewhere, but what is its reference? Or you pick up a story from the internet. Or you pick up a story from the Wikipedia. And you come to present that story. In fact, not everything on the internet is authentic. In fact, even publications on the internet. Look, I'm a scholar. I have my PhD in Applied Management and Decision Sciences. And so we don't accept every publication even on the internet, except peer-reviewed literatures. So in the Bhakti tradition, we also have peer-reviewed literatures. The works of Vrindavan Das Thakur, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, Srila Kaviraj Das Goswami, Srila Lochan Das Thakur, name them, the Goswamis. Yes, when we cite their works, we can speak on top of a mountain, and we have a reference. I remember I was talking about reference when I was in California, in Los Angeles, a few years ago. And one of these Papa disciples, older Papa disciple, Amala Bhakti Swami, he was interested in this type of stuff. So one devotee was giving a class, Bhagavatam class one day. The devotee was giving a story, and then Maharaj asked him, what's the source of this story? What's the source of this story? Yeah, so based on the writings of Lochan Das Thakur, he cited Nada traveling, and Nada is a typical Paradukkha Dukhi personified. It's most aggrieved to see the suffering of others. And keep in mind, Nada is even the best of Lord Brahma's sons. Lord Brahma himself mentioned that. So Nada was traveling, and he went to visit Krishna. He went to meet Krishna in his at his Dwarka palaces. And Krishna has just left Satyabhama's palace to Rukmini's palace. And here comes Narada. But prior to Narada's arrival, Rukmini was discussing something with Krishna, And she was mentioning that Krishna does not understand how the devotees, the intensity of the love of the devotees for him, he does not feel it. He does not have the lived experience. So she said, she suggested that you better get into Radha Bhav. Then you can have that lived experience. So, you see, even Krishna's wife. Can we get this? Krishna's wife. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He advised him. And he didn't just say, come on, shut up there, you're a woman. What have you got to tell me? He said, yes, yes, yes. So tell me, what shall I do? So she said, you take the form that you'll be able to experience Radha Bhav, so that you can know and feel the intensity of the love that your devotees have for you, especially Radharani. So Krishna actually subscribed to that idea. That was an advice given by Rukmini, because she loved Krishna so much, and Krishna doesn't seem to understand. Krishna doesn't seem to have that feeling. So then Nada came. And when Nada came, his facial expression was not so good. So Krishna asked, what is the problem? Nada, what is the problem? You don't seem to be happy. Why? So Nada mentioned that I've been traveling. I've been trying to preach the message of Godhead. I'm trying to spread your message. But, the people in Kali Yuga, they're so adamant. No matter how much the devotees try to help out, the people in Kali Yuga, they wouldn't budge. So, it is best that you go to invigorate the preaching. You go and deliver the message yourself. You go and enthuse the conditioned soul to take to the process of devotional service. So it's the same thing. What Rukmini was implying. So, we see the plight of the devotee. We see the reason why the devotees are going out to preach. We see the reason why we are not Babanandis, Bhajanandis, The two classes of devotees, Bhajanandis and Ghostanandis. The Ghostanandis, they go out preaching, they go out to try to create a positive change in the world. They go out to be able to influence the conditioned soul to take to the process of devotional service. Bhajanandi is just satisfied, sitting down one place and chanting as many rounds as possible. They see everyone has already liberated. Only they themselves, they are not liberated, so why should they worry themselves? So our mission, we're missionaries. It means that we're Ghostanandis, we're preachers. And we are following the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis. We're following the footsteps of Narada Muni. And because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, appeared on this planet, appeared right here in Adi Yoga Pit to create In science, we have a concept that when two people or when two or more people do something together, the result is always greater than individuals doing it and bringing the results of those individuals together.
Amplification. Amplification.
No, not amplification. Yeah, who can give me that technology? When two or more people come together to do something, the result. So, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that Lord Chaitanya established or inaugurated this movement. His purpose of doing that, or the rationale for doing that, is purely scientific. Yes, look, it is the Yuga Dharma, yeah, but the Yuga Dharma is very scientific. When individually we have to stay in our rooms, in our apartments to chant, the result is not going to be the same as when many people come together to chant. So, Lord Chaitanya basically wanted to spread the mission of the Lord, or his own mission, and in the Bhagavatam, his purpose is delineated. Krishna Vanam Chitaya Krishna, Sangopa Gastra Paso, Jagai Sankirtana Praya, Yajanti Hi Sumed Saha. Those who have sufficient brain substance, they will worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by taking to congregation chant. So, it's just a wonderful verse, but it's not just a matter of being intelligent. Because there are so many people who are intelligent, who have sufficient brain substance, and they don't take to this process of devotional service. And when Lord Chaitanya appeared as a child, he will cry, and nothing will stop him from crying. There's nothing you do that will stop him from crying. Only when the ladies chant Hari, Hari, Hari. So right from childhood, he motivated those around him. He motivated the devotees, inspired the devotees to constantly chant Krishna's holy names. It is one thing for someone to teach us a subject matter. In America, we say, you walk your talk. So Lord Chaitanya, he came to inaugurate the Sankirtan movement, but he himself was an exemplar. And when he was a mere child, he did this, and people understood that, oh, Nimai, he's strange, he cries. But when we chant the Lord's name, then he stops. His childhood was also replete with a lot of wonderful pastimes. I remember one time he was playing around and a snake slipped onto his laps. And he just coiled the snake and lied down on it. So the members of the household and neighbors, they saw that and they were alarmed and then they shouted. And so the snake was slithering away and he was trying to contain the snake. But then the snake couldn't really stay, so he had all those loud shouts and he went away. But the snake was no other person than Anantasesha. So, he demonstrated his omnipotence, his all-powerful nature in several ways. Even as a mere child, for instance, when he was a mere teenager, he would defeat, highly reputable scholars in the community. And the whole purpose was not only to show off, but then to be able to convert people, to let people understand that the Bhakti tradition is not simply meant for sentimentalists, but there are people who are imbued with high intelligent quotients, high spiritual intelligent quotients. And you keep in mind, although he was very influential, even as a teenager, we may say, oh, he was very puffed up, he was very proud. But you know what? Every scholar is puffed up to some degree. I remember one devotee in Gita Nagari, he told me a story. They were in Boston distributing books. He's a disciple of Satyarup Das Goswami, a white devotee. He told me a story talking about when people say Nimai because it's very sharp, that he was also popped up. So my response is, yeah, if you're a scholar, somehow or the other, to some degree, you'll be puffed up. So here, a devotee goes to meet a young man who was alighting from his car in Boston, near the Howard University Park. He wanted to meet this guy to give him a magazine. And this young man, he just looked at him and said, "Don't you know I'm Howard professor?" And that demoralized him for the whole day. He couldn't distribute one single book. Here is someone who never went to college, and a young professor, brought him down in that way, demoralized him. So, being puffed up with scholarship is a common thing. But Lord Chaitanya was also very humble. When he has to go to meet the Mayavadis, they invited him to come, but then where he sat? He sat at a place that they never expected him to sit. So yeah, that is the nature of a devotee, and by dint of his exemplary standard, he's showing us that yes, we could be very learned, but humility should be our watchword. He had very great challenges also. For instance, when he started his Sankirtan movement, even the local government, the Qazi, was opposed. These are good examples of the challenges that a devotee could face in their devotional service. So Lord Chaitanya also faced challenges. Although he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Qazi tried to stop him. But the beauty is, Lord Chaitanya, he is not like the modern rulers or modern organizational leaders who send their workers into the field and they sit behind a big table, a big acoustic table, drinking tea. He went with the devotees out. in a massive harina. They formed them in groups. So he was personally involved. We don't find a modern manager or the modern organizational leader being involved in the field work. I mean, it's like you see what is going on in Russia and Ukraine. Putin never goes to the war front. But Lord Chaitanya, he goes to the war front. He goes. The Kazi threatened, and he went there himself. So this is a good example for our leaders, that we need to be good exemplary preachers. We need to be good exemplary managers. And we need to be good exemplary servant organizational leaders. Because then that elicits deep trust from the dependents, from the followers in the leader. That elicits a powerful sense of commitment, a powerful sense of belonging, and the overall effectiveness or the resultant effectiveness of that is that it helps to create a predominance rise in fulfillment of the mission of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya, he got married. I was speaking with two young boys. They came to meet me in the ashram for an invitation. And I was asking, one of them is from Godrumadweep. They're locals. So I asked this young man, how long you been in the movement? He said, 29 years. I said, so what is happening if you're 29 years? He understood where I was going. So he said, I'm married. So the other one also, I was discussing. I said, what's your plan? You want to help in spreading the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You're so lucky. You know, we have to cross continents. You're born here. He said, yeah, we're born here. But the problem is, we don't seem to see the dam. You came from a far place, and you're seeing this as a dam. So Lord Chaitanya helps us to understand that we may be anywhere, we may be in our homes, or we may be in our different countries, but remembering his very preaching activities enables us to be in the dam. His mother was very much worried. And who is that woman who will not be worried when you have a real handsome, lovely child like Lord Chaitanya, and then he took to science? Traditionally, people take to renounce the door of life because they want to expedite their extrication from the shackles of material bondage. But what about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What does he use? The essence was to be able to inject Krishna consciousness in the people of the time. Because at least in India, they respect sciences. So his motivation of taking to the science of life was to be able to facilitate the spreading or the fulfillment of his purpose of appearance. His esoteric purpose of appearance. Because we can categorize his purpose of appearance as esoteric and exoteric. Exoteric means apparent. The congregational inauguration of the congregational chanting is what generally people tend to look at as what Lord Chaitanya came to do. But the esoteric, the hidden aspect of his purpose of appearance was to experience the love that Radharani was experiencing for him. And that was in fulfillment of Rukmini's idea and Narada's, plea. So not only Narada and Rukmini did that, but Advaita was also on one side with the other devotees in Navadvip. Advaita was performing so much, puja, invoking the Lord. So many people have done great things in the past to be able to invoke the presence of the Lord. And the people who are here or who have come to benefit from that may not even know what had transpired in the past. So it is important for us to be in the consciousness of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or in Krishna consciousness, especially this period, the Gaura Purnima period. But we should be reminiscing the pastimes of the Lord. We should become more involved in trying to become more genuine and go deeper in our Krishna consciousness practice based on the inspirations we derive from hearing about the pastimes of the Lord. So, Lord Chaitanya is very magnanimous. And in the Kali Yuga, he had come to inaugurate this Sankirtan movement, which is very simple. You don't need to change your dress. You don't need to change. You don't need to change anything in your life. You just use your mouth, your tongue. Seva mukha hi jivadu. Just your tongue and your mouth. The buccal cavity does the whole thing. We don't need so much money to do Aswamedha Jagya. Just use your tongue and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There's no difficulty. Prabhupada will ask, what is the difficulty? I remember an argument that Radha Govinda Swami Maharaj had with Prabhupada when Prabhupada came to India with 40 devotees from the West. So Radha Govinda Swami mentioned this in one of his lectures. And he had gone to meet Prabhupada and asked him, how did you preach to these people? He's naturally a bhakta, a devotee. So Prabhupada explained to him how he chanted Hare Krishna and he encouraged them. He taught them how to chant Hare Krishna, and that's how they become devotees. So then they were discussing some things about Lord Chaitanya. So Radha Govinda Swami mentioned that Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself who had come as a devotee. Then Prabhupada took the took the opposite side. He said, oh no, Lord Chaitanya, he's a devotee. So Radha Govinda said, no, he is Lord Krishna himself. He is Lord Krishna himself. Who had appeared as a devotee. And then at some point in time, Radha Govinda Maharaj, he couldn't tolerate. And then he says, shut up there. It's Krishna himself. So Prabhupada burst out laughing. So you imagine, this is a good, imagine the founder Acharya, the founder Acharya, someone is meeting, you know, some new person is meeting, had told him that. But he took it as fun, you know. He took it as fun. So when we have to do our preaching and someone comes to talk ill or hurt us, we should remember this story, okay? Because the stories are not just there as a tale, but they are there to help us. They are there to help us understand, in a deeper sense, how to be genuine devotees. So, I'll stop there. Maybe there are some comments or some questions or some challenges. Yes, Mara.
In the beginning, you were talking about Nilavara Chakravarti, how he was performing the name-giving ceremony for Purnima. The tradition in Bengali Brahmin families is that the paternal grandfather does the name-giving ceremony.
Paternal?
Paternal.
Oh, okay.
In Bengali Brahmin families, the tradition is that the paternal grandfather does the name-giving ceremony. But in this case, the maternal grandfather gave the name-giving ceremony. Why is that? Because not Bengali.
Because what?
But because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagannath Mishra was from an Oriya Brahmin family, settled in eastern Bengal, and then later settled in Navadvip. And the other argument is that, is there any such thing as a Mishra Brahmin in Bengal? Bengali Brahmin named Mishra? No. There's no Bengali Brahmins named Mishra. But in Orissa they have Brahmins named Mishra. Also in UP there are also Mishra Brahmins. But they have those Mishra Brahmins. The paternal grandfather does the name giving ceremony. So by putting the name together plus this, it's concluded that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is from Oriya family.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Any other comments? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, like what we should do more, like more japa or more we should attend this kirtan,
See, I was talking about what Lord Chaitanya, okay, what the word is synergy. Synergy means when more people, you can Google this and you check it out on Google Scholar, synergy. Synergy means two or more people come to do something, the result being greater than individuals doing it and adding those results. So Lord Chaitanya established a scientific process. And the idea is to be able to help the whole world, because when we chant, congregationally when we chant, people who are not even chanting, who are just within that vicinity, they benefit. And again, there is an experiment about chanting, how it even reduces crime. The reduction of the crime does not necessarily mean that the criminals, those who are criminally minded, they were chanting. Just people were involved in an experiment and they were congregationally chanting. And the effect of that had a positive impact on people who are hitherto criminals. So, the idea is that the congregational chanting is for the benefit of everyone. The japa, I mean, it's like if you want to go to work, you have to eat. If you say you want to fast every day or going to work, it may not work for the long run. So the japa, basically Prabhupada had mentioned that at least we should chant 16 rounds. And so if we are able to do that, that's okay. But I've seen also a number of the stalwart devotees I've seen, they never chanted 16 rounds. They chanted far more than that. So it's up to the individual. The minimum is 16 rounds. So that we don't go and force it on people that, hey, you have to chant this number of, the chanting is more important. Or the Harinam is more important. And sometimes we do the Harinam and we minimize the chanting. And sometimes even we do other services like Pujari work. I've seen, even when I was a brahmachari, in the US I've seen some of our brahmacharis in our temple, they were very much staunch pujaris. Some of them ended up leaving. Why? Because they minimized the japa. So japa is important. And that is a vow we take before the spiritual master, before the fire, before the assembled devotees, before the deities at the time of initiation. So the congregational chanting is like the service we are doing for humanity. The service we are doing in following the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So both of them are equally important. Yeah. If we are only chanting, if we are chanting even 108 rounds and we are not doing any service, that means we are being hypocritical. Because we are saying, Krishna, please engage me in your service. Krishna, please engage me in your service. And then we don't want to do any service. So what is the use of, the chant? What is the use of asking Krishna, please engage me in your service? So we have to look at it in that light. So both are important, but we have to understand the weight of either case. The chanting is meant to be able to stabilize us in our devotional practice, to sustain. The chanting is for our sustainability. The japa is for our spiritual sustainability. No matter what we're doing, we neglect the japa, we are heading for a Waterloo. Does it make some sense? All right. Yes. Last question, please, because time is up and I hate to keep people, beyond the time. Yes. Last question. Anybody else? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for the nice class. Krishna is described as Bhavagrahi Janardana. He's understanding our emotions. When we offer something, he's actually looking for our devotion more than just the offering. So it seems like a paradox when Rukmini is saying that you don't understand the devotee's love for you. How do we understand this? Because Krishna, of course, being in the heart of everyone, he understands better than anybody else.
Yeah. These are the documentation of Lochan Das Thakur in the Chaitanya Mangal. So, we may have a perception of a particular event, or a particular situation, a particular thing, but what the pure devotees are talking, or what the pure devotees meant, is very difficult for us to understand. It is very difficult for us to understand why Prabhupada does what he does. It is very difficult for us to understand why Krishna will do what he did. Yes, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridisi Ajunatistati. Krishna is situated in everyone's heart. And he said, from him comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. But here, the best of his queens is saying, you don't seem to understand. You don't seem to know the intensity of the love that Radha has for you. So it's something that it is not so literal. But if we take it on a deeper level, we can also appreciate the fact that Radha has so much of intense love than what we can imagine. And so Krishna also wanted to understand, to taste that love that Radha had for him. So this is called a Leela. Okay? Krishna knows everything, okay? I agree. But sometimes Krishna can also take the position of someone who doesn't do anything. Krishna may know something, and he plays the role of an innocent person. You see, the whole of these narrations, they are what basically we'll call transcendental theater art. On the stage, people take different roles. And so Krishna also can take any role. But here in this case, Rukmini is indicated to him that he didn't have the lived experience. And Krishna accepted. So if he does accept, it is part of the Leela. Otherwise, yes, I agree with you. He should know. Because it's based on the claim in the Gita. Does it make some sense to you?
Maharaj, like you said, Krishna is acting like innocent, like as if he doesn't understand, but he's doing it for a purpose also, to increase our love and also to feel separation. So Krishna is doing many things at the same time. So it's not like he's in a way, Krishna caused Rukmini to put it like that, so he can further enhance the Leela with more rasa. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I think we have to stop there. I'm sorry. I've seen some raised hand, but I hate to keep people waiting. See, we act based on time. I'm sorry. In India, if you go to some place, I've had this experience. I go to some temples. I want to give Bhagavatam class. You ask, what time we're stopping? And I had the experience to tell Maharaj, you're not in America. Just go on and give the class. But I'm sorry. I mean, it's just part of my blood that time a factor. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai.